Whispering Woods. What really happened? The air hung heavy that autumn night, a shroud of mist clinging to the ancient trees of Whispering Woods. A chill, not entirely from the approaching winter, seeped into the bones of those who dared to venture near. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones, a local legend woven from scraps of fear and forgotten history. But on October 27, 1997, Whispering Woods ceased to be just a legend. It became a crime scene, a mystery, a chilling testament to the unknown that still haunts the collective memory of Blackwood Creek. Before we delve into the shadows of that night, remember to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss our future investigations into the unexplained. Our story begins, as many do, with seemingly ordinary people. Maria Rodriguez, 22, a vibrant art student with a laugh that could chase away any gloom, was known for her adventurous spirit and her love for the natural world. She saw beauty, where others saw only darkness, even in the heart of Whispering Woods. With her that evening was David Miller, 23, her steady, pragmatic boyfriend, a budding architect who often served as the grounded counterpoint to Maria's free-spirited nature. They were a couple deeply in love, their future stretching out before them, bright and full of promise. They had planned a romantic, albeit slightly unconventional evening, a late-night picnic beneath the canopy of the ancient woods, a tradition they'd started since moving to Blackwood Creek for college. The woods themselves are a character in this unsettling drama. Whispering Woods, a sprawling expanse of dense, old-growth forest, bordered the small, tight-knit community of Blackwood Creek. Locals had long told tales of strange occurrences within its depths, inexplicable lights, disembodied whispers carried on the wind, and an unsettling feeling of being watched. These were dismissed mostly as folklore, the natural embellishments of a rural community with little else to entertain itself. Yet, a persistent undercurrent of unease always accompanied any mention of the woods. The trees here were unusually tall, their branches gnarled and interwoven, creating a perpetual twilight even in the brightest afternoon. The ground was uneven, a tapestry of roots and fallen leaves, making navigation difficult, especially after dark. The evening of October 27th started innocently enough. Maria and David left their small apartment on the outskirts of Blackwood Creek around 8 p.m. They were seen by their neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, a kindly elderly woman who always kept an eye on the young couple. Mrs. Henderson recalled Maria's excitement, her bright red scarf a splash of color against the deepening dusk. David, ever the gentleman, carried a picnic basket and a small, battery-powered lantern. They told Mrs. Henderson they were heading to their spot in Whispering Woods, a secluded clearing by a small, gurgling stream, a place they often went to escape the pressures of university life. "Be careful, dearies," Mrs. Henderson had called out, a familiar warning that carried a little more weight that night, though she couldn't have articulated why. The timeline of events that followed is pieced together from fragments, from the desperate search that ensued, and from the chilling discoveries made in the days that followed. Maria and David were expected back by midnight. When they didn't return, Mrs. Henderson, experiencing a growing sense of dread, called the local sheriff's department at 1:30 a.m. Sheriff Brody, a man whose weathered face told tales of countless sleepless nights, knew the woods well. He immediately dispatched a search party. The initial search was hampered by the dense fog that rolled in just after midnight, blanketing Whispering Woods in an impenetrable veil. Visibility was severely limited, and the searchers, armed with flashlights, found themselves disoriented by the echoing silence and the oppressive darkness. By dawn, they had found nothing. No trace of Maria, David, or their picnic basket. Only the unsettling quiet of the woods remained. The disappearance of Maria and David sent shockwaves through Blackwood Creek. A full-scale investigation was launched. Sheriff Brody, a man known for his meticulous approach, brought in state investigators. The woods were cordoned off, a perimeter established, and a more extensive search began, involving dozens of volunteers, K-9 units, and even a small privately owned helicopter. On the morning of October 29th, 2 days after their disappearance, a breakthrough, if it could be called that, occurred. A volunteer, a local hunter named Thomas Eldridge, stumbled upon David Miller's backpack. It lay discarded near the base of an ancient oak, its contents spilled out. A textbook on architectural design, a half-eaten granola bar, and a small, worn photograph of Maria, smiling broadly. There was no sign of struggle, no blood, nothing to indicate violence. The backpack simply lay there as if casually dropped. But a detail caught Thomas's eye. The backpack's straps were frayed, almost as if they had been yanked forcefully. Hours later, the picnic basket was discovered, overturned, its contents scattered. A thermos, a blanket, and 2 empty sandwich wrappers lay amidst the fallen leaves. Again, no signs of a struggle. It was as if Maria and David had simply vanished mid-meal. The lantern they had carried was nowhere to be found. What kind of force could make 2 young adults disappear without leaving a single trace of a struggle, without a sound? The investigators were baffled. The search intensified. Every inch of Whispering Woods was meticulously combed. The small stream near their spot was dragged. Nothing. The entire area felt empty. Not just empty of people, but empty of answers. The silence of the woods began to feel less peaceful and more menacing. As the days turned into a week, hope began to dwindle. Maria and David's parents arrived in Blackwood Creek, their faces etched with unimaginable grief and confusion. They appealed to the public, offering a reward for any information. But there was none. The community rallied, offering support. But beneath the surface, a chilling fear began to spread. Then, on November 5th, nearly a week and a half after their disappearance, a discovery was made that deepened the mystery rather than clarified it. A group of searchers found Maria Rodriguez's red scarf. It was not near the picnic spot, nor near David's backpack. It was found hanging from a low branch, almost deliberately placed, deep within a section of the woods known as the Shadowed Hollow, a particularly dense and overgrown part that few dared to enter even in daylight. The scarf was clean, untorn, and showed no signs of having been subjected to the elements for over a week. It was almost pristine. How could it have been there, untouched, while the search had been so thorough? And why there? The Shadowed Hollow was miles from their picnic spot. A difficult and treacherous journey through the thick undergrowth. It made no sense. Sheriff Brody, a pragmatic man of law and order, was forced to confront the unsettling possibility that something beyond conventional understanding was at play. He had seen many strange things in his career, but this defied all logic. There were no tracks, no footprints, no broken branches indicating a hurried escape or a struggle. It was as if Maria and David had been lifted from the earth, leaving only these perplexing breadcrumbs behind. The investigation continued, but without any new leads, it slowly began to stall. The official conclusion leaned towards a tragic accident, perhaps a fall into a hidden chasm or a swift, unexpected animal attack, though the lack of evidence for either scenario was glaring. The community, however, had its own theories. The old legends of Whispering Woods resurfaced, no longer dismissed as mere folklore. Whispers of spirits, of ancient forest entities, of portals to other realms grew louder. Children were forbidden from playing near the woods, and even adults avoided its borders after sunset. Years passed. The case of Maria Rodriguez and David Miller became a cold case, a tragic footnote in the history of Blackwood Creek. The woods remained, silent and brooding, its secrets held tight within its gnarled embrace. But the story didn't end there. Mysteries, especially those as profound as the Whispering Woods incident, have a way of lingering, of demanding answers. It wasn't until 2005, 8 years after the disappearance, that a new, unsettling piece of the puzzle emerged. Dr. Thorne, a renowned parapsychologist and folklorist from the State University, became fascinated by the case. He had heard the local legends, read the police reports, and felt an inexplicable pull towards Whispering Woods. He believed there was more to the story than a simple accident or even foul play. Dr. Thorne, a man of science who kept an open mind to the fringes of human understanding, had dedicated his life to investigating unexplained phenomena. He was not a sensationalist, but a meticulous researcher, seeking patterns and anomalies. Dr. Thorne began interviewing the remaining residents of Blackwood Creek who remembered the incident. He spoke with Mrs. Henderson, who, though older, still vividly recalled Maria's bright scarf and David's quiet strength. He spoke with Thomas Eldridge, the hunter who found David's backpack, who confessed to a lingering sense of unease about the pristine condition of Maria's scarf. During his investigation, Dr. Thorne discovered something overlooked in the initial frenzy. A local amateur meteorologist, Mr. Abernathy, who lived just a few miles from Whispering Woods, had meticulously kept weather records for decades. His logs for October 27, 1997, showed a series of highly unusual atmospheric disturbances. Not just the fog, which was common, but sudden, localized drops in air pressure, anomalous electromagnetic fluctuations, and even reports of strange, shimmering lights in the sky, dismissed at the time as distant aircraft. Mr. Abernathy, a man of science, had no explanation for these anomalies, but he had recorded them with precision. Dr. Thorne, with the blessing of Sheriff Brody, now retired but still haunted by the case, gained access to the original police files. He meticulously re-examined every piece of evidence, every witness statement. He noted the recurring theme of the whispers in the woods, not just folklore, but mentioned by searchers who reported hearing disembodied voices, indistinct and fleeting, during the initial search. He also found a forgotten anecdote in one of the volunteers' reports. A young searcher claimed to have seen a fleeting distortion in the air, like heat haze near the shadowed hollow, but dismissed it as exhaustion. Armed with this new perspective, Dr. Thorne decided to conduct his own expedition into Whispering Woods in the autumn of 2005, almost exactly 8 years after the disappearance. He brought with him an array of specialized equipment, electromagnetic field detectors, infrasound recorders, and high-sensitivity thermal cameras. He was looking for anomalies, for anything that could explain the inexplicable. His first stop was the picnic spot. The clearing was still there, overgrown but recognizable. He spent hours there, recording baseline data, establishing the normal, environmental readings. Nothing unusual. Then he moved to where David's backpack was found. Still nothing. The woods were quiet, almost too quiet. Finally, he ventured into the shadowed hollow, the place where Maria's scarf had been found. This part of the woods lived up to its name. The trees were ancient, their branches so interlaced that very little sunlight penetrated. The air was colder here, and the silence was profound, broken only by the rustling of leaves underfoot. Dr. Thorne set up his equipment. For hours, he recorded. The EMF detectors registered normal readings. The thermal cameras showed only the heat signatures of the trees and the occasional small animal. He was beginning to feel a familiar frustration, the kind that often accompanies investigations into the truly unknown. He was about to pack up when suddenly one of his infrasound recorders spiked, a low-frequency sound beyond the range of human hearing, but clearly registered by the sensitive equipment. It was a rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat, emanating from deep within the hollow. Dr. Thorne followed the sound, carefully navigating the treacherous terrain. The pulse grew stronger, more pronounced. He found himself standing before an enormous, gnarled oak tree, its trunk wider than a car, its roots snaking across the forest floor like ancient serpents. The infrasound pulse was strongest here, emanating from the very base of the tree. He ran his hand over the bark, feeling a strange vibration. Then his EMF detector, which had been silent, began to flicker erratically. The needle jumped, indicating a powerful, localized electromagnetic surge. He checked his thermal camera. Nothing. But as he looked up into the canopy of the ancient oak, he noticed something peculiar. The leaves directly above the trunk seemed to shimmer, almost imperceptibly, as if the air itself was vibrating. It was the distortion the young searcher had mentioned, but far more subtle. Dr. Thorne spent the rest of the day at the ancient oak recording data, trying to make sense of the conflicting readings. The infrasound pulse was intermittent, sometimes strong, sometimes fading to nothing. The EMF spikes were sporadic. He felt a profound sense of awe and a chilling realization. This was not a natural phenomenon. He returned to Blackwood Creek, his mind reeling. He reviewed his data, cross-referencing it with Mr. Abernathy's meteorological logs from 1997. He found a startling correlation. The night Maria and David disappeared, Mr. Abernathy's logs showed a significant spike in electromagnetic activity and a sudden, localized drop in air pressure at the exact time Maria and David would have been at their picnic spot. And then, a few hours later, a similar, though less intense, spike in the shadowed hollow. Dr. Thorne theorized that the ancient oak in the shadowed hollow was not just a tree, but a nexus, a point where the veil between dimensions was thin. He proposed that on that fateful night, a rare confluence of atmospheric conditions, possibly amplified by some unknown geological or energetic anomaly within the woods itself, had created a temporary, localized portal. Maria and David, caught unaware at their picnic spot, perhaps drawn by an irresistible curiosity or an unexplainable pull, had stumbled into it. The backpack, found at a distance, might have been dropped in their initial surprise or confusion. Maria's scarf, found later in the shadowed hollow, could have been an accidental artifact, a small piece of their world that passed through the portal with them, only to be deposited back in a different location as the portal destabilized or shifted. The whispers reported by searchers could have been residual energy, echoes from another side. This theory, while extraordinary, provided a coherent framework for all the baffling pieces of evidence. The lack of a struggle, the pristine condition of the scarf found miles away, the meteorological anomalies, and the strange phenomena Dr. Thorne himself had recorded. It wasn't an accident, nor was it conventional foul play. It was something far more profound and far more terrifying. He published his findings in a peer-reviewed parapsychology journal, and though met with skepticism by mainstream science, his work resonated deeply with those who had followed the Whispering Woods incident. It offered a potential explanation, however fantastical, for a mystery that had tormented a community for years. The parents of Maria and David, though never fully able to accept such an unconventional explanation, found a strange solace in Dr. Thorne's theory. It offered a narrative that didn't involve their children suffering a violent end, but rather a vanishing into the unknown, a journey beyond human comprehension. It allowed them to imagine their children alive, somewhere, in some other reality, rather than lost to the darkness of the woods. Sheriff Brody, in his retirement, often reflected on the case. He never publicly endorsed Dr. Thorne's theory, but in private conversations he admitted that it was the only explanation that truly accounted for all the anomalies. The woods, he concluded, held secrets far older and stranger than any human law. The Whispering Woods incident remains an open case in the official records, an unsolved disappearance. But for those who remember, for those who lived through the terror and the confusion, Dr. Thorne's investigation provided a chilling, yet strangely compelling answer. The woods continue to stand, silent and watchful, their ancient trees guarding their profound secrets. And sometimes on a quiet autumn night, when the mist rolls in and the wind sighs through the branches, you can almost hear the whispers, carrying faint echoes of a night when two young lovers vanished, not into thin air, but, perhaps, into another dimension entirely. The story of Maria and David, and the enduring mystery of Whispering Woods, serves as a stark reminder that our world, even in its most familiar corners, can harbor truths far stranger than fiction. It asks us to consider the limits of our understanding, to question what we believe to be real, and to acknowledge that some mysteries may never be fully solved, only tentatively explored. The woods have always been a place of both wonder and fear, a boundary between civilization and the untamed. But Whispering Woods, on that fateful October night, became something more, a gateway. The question still hangs, in the air, carried by the very winds that rustle through those ancient trees. What really happened to Maria and David? Was it an elaborate, undetectable crime, or did they truly step through a tear in reality? The official report offers no definitive answer, and the woods themselves remain silent, offering only the rustle of leaves and the occasional, unsettling whisper. But the evidence, the anomalies, the sheer impossibility of a conventional explanation point to something far beyond our current comprehension. And perhaps that is the most terrifying answer of all. The universe is vast, and our understanding, so very small. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unexplained, please like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below with your own theories about what happened in Whispering Woods. Your engagement helps us bring more chilling mysteries to light. And don't forget to subscribe for more true horror and unsolved cases. Until next time, stay vigilant, and remember, some secrets are best left undisturbed. The story of Maria and David, though seemingly concluded, continues to resonate through the annals of paranormal investigations, a cold case that refuses to be relegated to the dusty shelves of forgotten files. It's a narrative that challenges the very bedrock of our perceived reality, pushing the boundaries of what we deem possible. We've explored the anomalies, the unsettling testimonies, the inexplicable disappearances. But what if we were to delve deeper into the nature of such disappearances? What if Whispering Woods wasn't just a unique incident, but a localized manifestation of a broader, perhaps universal phenomenon? Let's consider the concept of thin places, a term often used in Celtic folklore to describe locations where the veil between worlds is said to be particularly permeable. These are not necessarily places of malevolence, but rather sites where the boundaries of our mundane existence become fluid, allowing for glimpses or even outright passages into other realms. Could Whispering Woods be one such thin place? The consistent reports of temporal distortions, the inexplicable electromagnetic fluctuations, the profound sense of disorientation experienced by those who ventured too deep. These are all hallmarks of environments where the fabric of reality appears to be stretched, thinned, or even torn. Imagine, for a moment, that the universe isn't a singular, monolithic entity, but rather a vast tapestry woven with countless threads, each representing a different dimension, a parallel reality. Our perception, limited by our three-dimensional existence, only allows us to experience a single thread at a time. But what if, at certain junctures, these threads intersect or even briefly merge? What if Whispering Woods on that fateful October night became one such juncture? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Theoretical physicists have long posited the existence of multiple dimensions beyond our own. String theory, for instance, suggests the possibility of 10 or even 11 dimensions, most of which are compactified or curled up, rendering them imperceptible to us. But what if, in rare instances, these dimensions uncurl or become accessible, even for a fleeting moment? The energy required for such a phenomenon would be immense, perhaps explaining the strange atmospheric disturbances and the inexplicable drain on electronic devices reported in the vicinity of the disappearance. Consider the notion of quantum entanglement, where two particles become linked, regardless of distance, so that the state of one instantaneously influences the state of the other. While typically applied to subatomic particles, some speculative theories suggest that similar principles might apply on a larger scale, perhaps even to entire realities. Could Maria and David have become entangled with another dimension, their physical forms teleported or shifted into a parallel existence? This would account for the complete lack of physical evidence, no bodies, no struggle, no trace, as they wouldn't have simply vanished from our world, but rather into another. The Mothman Prophecies by John Keel, while focusing on a different type of phenomenon, touches upon similar themes of interdimensional travel and the blurring of realities. Keel's research into strange occurrences in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, revealed a pattern of anomalous events, including UFO sightings, cryptid encounters, and unexplained disappearances, all occurring in close proximity to what he termed windows, localized areas where the fabric of reality seemed to be more pliable. The similarities to Whispering Woods are striking. A concentration of unusual events, a sense of foreboding, and the ultimate vanishing of individuals without a trace. Could Maria and David have stumbled upon their own window in the heart of the ancient forest? Let's re-examine the reported eyewitness accounts. The fleeting glimpses of strange lights, the disembodied whispers, the sense of being watched, these are not merely anecdotal. They are consistent with reports from other thin places around the world. In the Benandanti folklore of Friuli, Italy, individuals were said to be able to exit their bodies and participate in battles against witches in another dimension. While fantastical, the underlying theme of traversing realities resonates. The fae folk of Irish mythology, often associated with ancient forests and stone circles, are said to inhabit a parallel realm, occasionally interacting with our own. Could the whispers in Whispering Woods be echoes from such a realm, a faint auditory bleed-through from a dimension where Maria and David now reside? The very name Whispering Woods takes on a new, more ominous meaning through this lens. It's not just the wind rustling through leaves. It's the murmur of another world, a constant, low-frequency hum just beyond the threshold of our perception. And what if Maria and David, perhaps due to some unique combination of factors, their emotional state, the specific atmospheric conditions, their proximity to a particularly potent, thin spot, were attuned enough to hear and then respond to that whisper? The idea of a gateway, or portal, is a recurring motif in folklore and science fiction alike. From the wardrobe to Narnia to the Stargate, the concept of traversing dimensions through a specific localized point is deeply ingrained in our collective consciousness. But what if these portals aren't grand, shimmering archways, but rather subtle, almost imperceptible shifts in the fabric of reality, easily missed by the casual observer? A ripple in the air, a momentary distortion of light, a sudden drop in temperature. These could be the subtle indicators of a dimensional tear, a fleeting opportunity to step from one reality into another. Consider the role of human consciousness in such events. There's a school of thought within parapsychology that suggests our minds, particularly when under extreme emotional duress or in a heightened state of awareness, can influence reality in subtle ways. Could the intense love and shared emotional bond between Maria and David have acted as a catalyst, a kind of psychic key that unlocked the gateway in Whispering Woods? It's a romantic yet chilling thought, that their love was so profound, so all-encompassing, that it literally transcended the boundaries of their known world. This leads us to a more unsettling question. If they did step into another dimension, what kind of dimension was it? Was it a utopian paradise, a realm of pure energy and light? Or was it something far more alien, something beyond our current capacity to comprehend or even survive? The possibility that they are alive, but in a state of existence entirely foreign to us, is perhaps more terrifying than the idea of their demise. Imagine being trapped in a reality where the laws of physics are fundamentally different, where time flows backward, or where perception is entirely sensory, devoid of form or substance. The implications are profound and deeply unsettling. The official investigation, constrained by the parameters of conventional law enforcement, understandably struggled with this case. How do you investigate a disappearance when the very concept of disappearance is redefined? The lack of forensic evidence, the absence of a struggle, the inexplicable nature of the event. These are not failures of the investigators, but rather a testament to the extraordinary nature of what transpired. They were looking for a terrestrial crime, but what they encountered was something far beyond the earthly. Let's explore some historical parallels, cases where individuals have seemingly vanished without a trace, often in remote or unusual locations. The infamous disappearance of the Roanoke colony in 1590, where over 100 settlers vanished, leaving only the word Croatoan carved into a tree, has puzzled historians for centuries. While conventional explanations range from assimilation with native tribes to massacre, the sheer completeness of the disappearance, the lack of bodies, or a struggle, echoes the Maria and David case. Could Roanoke have been another thin place, a gateway that opened and closed, swallowing an entire community? Then there's the case of the Mary Celeste, a merchant brigantine found adrift in the Atlantic in 1872, her crew mysteriously absent but with no signs of struggle or foul play. The ship was in perfectly seaworthy condition, her cargo intact, but the 10 souls aboard had simply vanished. While various theories, from mutiny to sea monsters, have been proposed, the enduring mystery lies in the utter lack of a conventional explanation. It's another example of a complete, inexplicable disappearance, where the known laws of our world seem to have been suspended. These historical anomalies, when viewed through the lens of interdimensional travel, suggest a recurring pattern. Perhaps these thin places or windows are not static, but rather shift and open intermittently across time and space, triggered by unknown cosmic or terrestrial forces. Whispering Woods, then, would not be an isolated incident but a contemporary manifestation of a phenomenon that has perplexed humanity for millennia. The psychological impact of such an event on the local community is also worth considering. The lingering fear, the pervasive sense of unease, the unspoken questions that hang in the air. These are the aftershocks of a reality-bending event. The woods, once a place of solace and recreation, become something else entirely, a place of dread, a monument to the unknown. The local folklore around Whispering Woods will undoubtedly grow, evolving with each passing generation, adding new layers of mystery and terror to an already profound enigma. Children will be warned away, lovers will avoid. Its trails and the legend of Maria and David will become a cautionary tale, whispered around campfires and told in hushed tones. The enduring fascination with such cases speaks to a fundamental human desire to understand the inexplicable. We crave order, logic, and definitive answers. When faced with a mystery that defies all conventional explanation, our minds struggle to reconcile the unknown with the known. This struggle, however, is precisely what pushes the boundaries of our understanding, forcing us to consider possibilities that lie beyond the comfortable confines of our current scientific paradigms. So, what are we to make of Whispering Woods? Is it a place of tragedy, a testament to a love lost to the unknown? Or is it something more profound, a living, breathing testament to the vastness and strangeness of the universe? The truth, as always, likely lies somewhere in between, a complex tapestry of scientific anomaly, human emotion, and cosmic mystery. The story of Maria and David serves as a powerful reminder that our perception of reality is inherently limited. We are confined by our senses, by our current understanding of physics, and by the very nature of our three-dimensional existence. But what if there's more? What if the universe is far richer, far more complex, and far more wondrous and terrifying than we can currently imagine? The whispers in Whispering Woods continue, a constant, low-frequency hum that beckons and warns. They are the echoes of a mystery, unsolved. A love story tragically interrupted, and a stark reminder that some secrets are not meant to be fully deciphered, but merely acknowledged. They are a call to humility, an invitation to embrace the unknown, and a chilling testament to the fact that even in our most familiar landscapes, the fabric of reality can be surprisingly thin. Perhaps the greatest horror of all is not the unknown itself, but the realization of how little we truly know. The universe is vast, and our understanding so very small. And in the heart of Whispering Woods on a cool autumn night, two young lovers may have stumbled upon a truth that transcends our wildest dreams and our deepest fears. A truth that reminds us that the boundaries of our world are far more porous and far more perilous than we could ever conceive. The woods remain, silent and watchful, their ancient trees guarding their profound secrets. And sometimes, on a quiet autumn night, when the mist rolls in and the wind sighs through the branches, you can almost hear the whispers, carrying faint echoes of a night when two young lovers vanished, not into thin air but perhaps into another dimension entirely. The story of Maria and David, and the enduring mystery of Whispering Woods, serves as a stark reminder that our world, even in its most familiar corners, can harbor truths far stranger than fiction. It asks us to consider the limits of our understanding, to question what we believe to be real, and to acknowledge that some mysteries may never be fully solved, only tentatively explored. The woods have always been a place of both wonder and fear, a boundary between civilization and the untamed. But Whispering Woods, on that fateful October night, became something more, a gateway. The question still hangs in the air, carried by the very winds that rustle through those ancient trees. What really happened to Maria and David? Was it an elaborate, undetectable crime, or did they truly step through a tear in reality? The official report offers no definitive answer, and the woods themselves remain silent, offering only the rustle of leaves and the occasional, unsettling whisper. But the evidence, the anomalies, the sheer impossibility of a conventional explanation point to something far beyond our current comprehension, and perhaps that is the most terrifying answer of all. The universe is vast, and our understanding so very small. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unexplained, please like this video, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below with your own theories about what happened in Whispering Woods. Your engagement helps us bring more chilling mysteries to light. And don't forget to subscribe for more true horror and unsolved cases. Until next time, stay vigilant and remember, some secrets are best left undisturbed. This particular story encapsulates the profound unease that accompanies a reality challenged. It's not just a tale of missing persons, it's a philosophical conundrum cloaked in a chilling narrative. The woods, an ancient symbol of the subconscious and the unknown, here take on a literal role as a threshold. The very air around Whispering Woods seems to hum with an unspoken energy, a static charge of unanswered questions. Let's consider the implications of such an event on our scientific framework. If Maria and David did indeed step into another dimension, it would necessitate a radical re-evaluation of established physics. The laws of conservation, of mass and energy, the very bedrock of our understanding, would be challenged. Their disappearance wasn't a transformation within our known reality, but an apparent excision from it. This is where the scientific community often balks, preferring to attribute such anomalies to hoaxes, misidentification, or elaborate yet undetected crimes. But what if the data, however sparse, points to a truth that transcends our current scientific capacity? The concept of dark matter and dark energy, invisible forces that constitute the vast majority of the universe, offers a tantalizing parallel. We know they exist because of their gravitational effects, but we cannot directly observe them. What if these thin places are localized manifestations of such unknown forces, areas where the interaction between our observable universe and these unseen components becomes momentarily unstable, creating pathways or distortions? It's a leap of faith, perhaps, but one that aligns with the inexplicable nature of such disappearances. Furthermore, the emotional resonance of the story cannot be overstated. A young couple, deeply in love, on the precipice of a shared future, vanished without a trace. This emotional core elevates the mystery beyond a mere scientific puzzle. It imbues it with a tragic human element that resonates deeply. The idea of a love so powerful it could transcend dimensions is both beautiful and terrifying. It suggests that our deepest human connections might possess an almost alchemical power, capable of interacting with the very fabric of reality in ways we don't yet comprehend. The recurring motif of whispers is also crucial. It speaks to the subtle, almost subliminal nature of these potential interdimensional interactions. It's not a grand overt event but a faint invitation, a subtle pull that, once heeded, leads to an irreversible transformation. These whispers could be interpreted as a form of communication from another dimension, a call that only certain individuals, perhaps those with a particular energetic or psychic resonance, are able to perceive. Maria and David, in their shared emotional intensity, might have been uniquely susceptible to this subtle beckoning. The long-term effects on the landscape itself are also worth considering. Does a thin place leave a permanent scar on the environment? Do the trees, the soil, the very air retain an energetic imprint of such an event? Some indigenous cultures believe that certain locations hold a powerful spiritual energy, often linked to significant events or ancestral spirits. Could Whispering Woods now be imbued with a unique, perhaps unsettling, energetic signature, a perpetual echo of the dimensional shift that occurred within its borders? This might explain the lingering feeling of unease, the reports of strange phenomena continuing long after the initial event. The official report, a document of cold, objective facts, stands in stark contrast to the ethereal, almost poetic nature of the mystery. It's a testament to the limitations of our conventional investigative methods when confronted with the truly anomalous. The police can search for footprints, analyze soil samples, and interview witnesses, but they cannot quantify a dimensional tier or track a soul into a parallel universe. Their inability to provide a definitive, rational explanation is not a failure of their efforts, but a stark illustration of the boundaries of their jurisdiction. Ultimately, the story of Maria and David in Whispering Woods is not merely a ghost story or a true crime narrative. It is a modern myth, a cautionary tale that challenges our anthropocentric view of the universe. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that we are not alone, not just in the cosmic sense, but in a far more immediate spatial sense. That other realities, other dimensions, might exist, not in distant galaxies, but right here, coexisting with our own, separated by a veil so thin that, under certain circumstances, it can be breached. And perhaps that is the most profound and unsettling truth of all. The universe is vast, and our understanding, so very small. The woods have always been a place of both wonder and fear, a boundary between civilization and the untamed. But Whispering Woods, on that fateful October night, became something more. A gateway to where we may never know. But the whispers remain, a haunting reminder of the night too young. Lovers stepped into the unknown, leaving behind a mystery that continues to echo through the ancient trees, inviting us to ponder the true nature of reality and the endless possibilities that lie just beyond the edge of our perception. And perhaps that is the most terrifying answer of all. The universe is vast, and our understanding so very small.